There was a bunch of us with our, as they say, with our mouth pretty tight. Why is Bob selling PET? I want you to know that my young man is the one that educated me about this whole issue of capital, and as I said, I became a quick learner. It has been a plus for what you've been able to diversify. And BET, the good news is survived. And with Deborah Lee, who is the chair, who I interact with quite a bit, doing creative and wonderful things, and I would commend you all to turn BET on. Because it still has his imprint on it for what it does.
Well, I think that's a good point. I think is that because I think one of the things that holds us back from a business standpoint, and I understand why it was created, and some of it was political, and some of it was, please forgive me, Earl Grey. But anyway, the idea is this: that in order to be black-owned, you had to be over a number, 51% or 100% or whatever it was, and what that would do, it would prevent black companies from growing. Because in order to grow, you've got to be willing to take on new investors, which means there's new equity coming in. You don't want to take it on debt. You don't want to inherit the debt. You take it on debt. Well, if that dilutes you down to a number, and all of a sudden people say you're not controlled, then all it does is sort of somewhat condemn black companies to never getting to scale. It's the worst thing in the world for us, because many corporations define it that way. We define it politically that way because some people are trying to prevent scams from happening. But the end result of it is, if you take that notion and say, in order to be a black-owned company, you must remain above 51%, you'll never grow. You will never get to scale because you can't bring in outside capital. You can't offer shares to talented people, black or white. You're restricted so somehow, but philosophically, we need to grapple with that, and it needs to be done with the national organization, a minority group headed by what's her name? Can't think of her name. But yeah, I mean, we gotta come up with a new definition, because if you think about it,
it's fixed in government now.
If you think it's fixed in the government, state government, federal government, local government, it's fixed in there. And so what happens is, so let's say you got a company that's, and the other part about it, let's say you create a black company. BET was a little bit of an exception because it was sort of a stronger brand in cable. But if you got a 51% black-owned company, now you go to sell it. Who are you going to sell it to? If they don't have the money to sell it, then you got to sell it to somebody else. And if they lose the minority status, and all of a sudden they can say, well, gee, I'm not going to pay you that because it's not going to be a minority. And so what happens? So when I was selling BET, I mean, BET sold for almost $3 billion. Now, that wasn't a whole lot of black folks I knew walking around with $3 billion. And certainly now with $3 billion in stock, which meant that I didn't pay any taxes on the first transaction because it was a stock-for-stock transaction. So that was the reason. And so the problem is some of these things that we do with good intentions, because I can tell you any number of CEOs who own less than 2% of stock are considered in control. Jamie Dimon, who runs JP Morgan Chase, probably owns less than 0.001% of the stock, but he controls it. And so we should be comfortable with some formula that says, if we own 10% of the stock, we're the chairman of the board, we got 5 seats on the board, we are the value creator, we're in control.
Interesting concept.
And at some point that issue is going to have to be addressed, because otherwise I can guarantee you it's going to be extremely difficult looking forward for African American companies to compete because they can't get to scale.